Forsaken just got a new update featuring a brand new killer, Noli, along with some new skins and several balance changes. One of those changes affects Dusekkar, and that's exactly who we'll be talking about today. Now, before the update, Dusekkar was widely considered the worst support, although as a Dusekkar main myself, I'd have to disagree. In this video, I'll be discussing the new patch for Dusekkar, how to play him effectively, and my final verdict on whether this was a buff or a nerf. So let's jump right into it. Now, if we take a look here, Dusekkar has received a lot of changes, and one of the most important ones in this update log is this. Can now sprint during spawn protection and plasma beam, and they no longer slow the user as heavily. This is a massive buff for Dusekkar. Before, he had basically nothing to defend himself mid-chase. Your only real option was to either loop the killer or try to juke them. But now, if you land a hit with plasma beam, it applies slowness 2 for 3 seconds, and you can sprint during it, letting you create a massive gap between you and the killer. On top of that, being able to sprint while using spawn protection is insanely strong. Before this update, you were literally a sitting duck. You couldn't defend yourself at all. Now, you can protect someone and keep your distance at the same time. And it's especially helpful against those survivors who for some reason sprint towards you while you were protecting them. Now with buffs, there's bound to be nerfs, and spawn protection got hit with a big one. First off, the range for spawn protection has been reduced to 95 studs, which is honestly fair. There were times where I could protect someone from across the map and the killer couldn't do anything about it, so this nerf was honestly very much needed. On top of that, the duration for spawn protection has been cut down from 10 seconds to 4.5 seconds. Alongside spawn protection, the recently protected timer was increased from 20 seconds to 30 seconds. You might be thinking Dusekkar is useless now, but with the buff that I'm about to mention, everything changes. Plasma Beam now grants 20 overhealth. Now real quick, the overhealth does deplete after a few seconds, but that is still a crazy buff. That's basically a free Jason hit if you think about it. I've already been using this to my fullest and has saved so many people from getting killed. To confiscate, however, Plasma Beam now has a shorter range, but the hitbox is wider, and on top of that, its cooldown has been increased to 30 seconds. Now that we've finished with the balance change, let's talk about how you should play Dusekkar now. Before this update, Dusekkar's playstyle was pretty much about standing on high structures and supporting ongoing chases from a safe distance. Trying to help from the low ground was risky, as if you annoyed the killer too much, you'd get chased and that was a death sentence. You had nothing to defend yourself with besides maybe your team. But with this new update, Dusekkar's playstyle can now be more aggressive, and that's likely what the developers intended. The ability to cast spells while running is a massive buff, as it makes him much less helpless when getting chased, or even better during last man standing. Dusekkar's main objective as a support is to make the killer's life a living hell, whether it's slowing them down so they lose stamina advantage, or giving survivors a second chance with 20 overhealth and a speed boost. You're basically the team's bodyguard. No one ever appreciates a Dusekkar until he's the reason the killer didn't finish the job. That said, with the Plasma Beam cooldown nerf, you now need to be more precise with your shots. My recommended ways to use Plasma Beam are as follows: using it in an ongoing chases, using it when a killer is stunned, using it when the killer is in an animation move, such as a 1x's mass infection, Cool Kid's pizza delivery, John Doe's spikes, and Noli's teleport. Also, make sure you're close enough when shooting someone with Plasma Beam. Not having the distance is a surprisingly common problem, though maybe that's just me being used to the old range. As for spawn protection, it now only lasts 4.5 seconds, which definitely makes things a bit tougher for survivors. However, it doesn't really change how you should be using it. The usual situations still apply, such as when someone's entangled, when a sentinel fails their stun, or even when someone's one-shot. Just remember, if someone has less than 5 HP and you protect them, a normal slash from any killer except 1x and Jason can still kill them, since those two deal 20 damage per hit. Now that I told you how to play Dusekkar, let me give you my final verdict on this change. And now it's time for my opinion. All in all, this update doesn't make Dusekkar any less impactful. It just raises the skill ceiling. If you play smart, stay safe, and time your spells right, you can easily win against any killer, even if they are experienced. So my final verdict is yes, this was a buff, and an amazing one at that. I will however say that there are a few things I would change. For one, I would make the recently spawn protected 25 seconds instead of 30 seconds, as once you finish using spawn protection and wait on the cooldown, you need to wait an extra 5 seconds to use it on the same person again. I also would slightly give the laser a bit more range. Nothing too crazy, just a couple studs. Other than that, this was an amazing update for Dusekkar, and I will be playing him even more now. That about wraps up this video. The upcoming couple of minutes are going to be me playing Dusekkar to show you what you can achieve with him. Have a lovely one, and do subscribe for more stuff like this.